I was looking on Craigslist to find some chairs and a table for my backyard. I had recently moved to a new place with a backyard, and I was looking forward to sitting outside, but I didn't have much money to spend. When I was scrolling through the listings, I saw a lot of people trying to sell their old tables and chairs, but most of them looked really old or like they'd been used too much. They just didn't look good. I didn't rush. I kept looking every day for about a week. Finally, I found a listing that caught my eye. Someone was selling a simple set, just 2 chairs and a table. It looked pretty new and the price was good, so I sent a message to the seller. "In a really short time," the seller replied. His name was Jared. He told me that the furniture was almost new. However, it had a few small marks on it because it got banged up during delivery. We chatted a bit and decided to meet the next evening at his house to see the furniture. The next day, I drove to his address. As I got closer, I saw that the house was big and looked like it cost a lot of money. But something was odd. Even though it was evening, all the lights in the house were off. Only the light outside the front door was on. Feeling a bit nervous, I parked my car and went to the front door. I pressed the doorbell and heard it ringing inside, but nobody came to the door. I didn't hear any sound from inside. Trying not to be nosy, I peeked through a small window by the door, just to check if anyone was inside. The inside of the house looked normal, but it seemed empty. Suddenly, my phone buzzed, making me jump. It was a message from Jared. He told me to go to the backyard by opening the side fence. Even though it felt a bit strange, I thought maybe he's keeping the furniture in the backyard. So, I went to the fence, opened it, and walked in. As I entered, Jared appeared from one side of the yard. He smiled, waved at me, and then took me to where the chairs and table were. I was really surprised at how great the furniture looked. Everything seemed top-notch. The chairs and table looked like they were brand new. I sat down to test one of the chairs and started to check everything closely. I wanted to see if there were any scratches or marks. Honestly, I was wondering why someone would sell such good stuff. But as I was looking, Jared's friendly behavior changed quickly. He no longer smiled and seemed in a hurry. He asked me, almost in a demanding tone, if I was going to buy the set or not. The sudden change in his attitude made me a bit uneasy, and as I looked around, I noticed some odd things. The table and chairs looked like they had been there for a long time. There were other outdoor decorations around them, and there were even coasters on the table. It didn't look like something someone was trying to sell. I could tell Jared noticed I was getting suspicious. He became more forceful, telling me to give him the money quickly and take the furniture. Feeling nervous, I told him I'd think about it and let him know tomorrow. But he didn't like that answer. He took a step towards me, and with each step I could see in his eyes that he was up to something bad. Panicking, I turned and ran towards the front yard. I could hear him chasing me. I ran as fast as I could to my car. But then, instead of coming after me, Jared ran in a different direction. He ran to another street, got into a car, and drove away really fast. Shaking and scared, I called the police. Later, I found out that the house and the furniture weren't even his. The real owners were away on vacation. This man was trying to sell stuff that didn't belong to him. The scariest part? The police couldn't figure out how he knew the house was empty. But one thing was clear. If I had stayed there a bit longer, I might not have been able to leave safely. I found a house listed on Craigslist that my roommate and I liked. We were thinking of renting it. Since we had just finished college, we didn't have much money, so looking for cheaper places to stay on Craigslist seemed like the best option for us. We quickly sent a message to the owner of the house asking if we could visit. We gave both our phone numbers, just in case. After waiting a few hours, my phone rang. It was the house owner, Kim. He said we could visit the next day, but he also mentioned that he had scheduled visits with other people for the rest of the week. The problem was my roommate had work the next day, But since Kim had other people interested, we felt we should see the house as soon as possible. If we waited, we might miss out. We decided that I would visit and take lots of photos for my roommate. He could then see the pictures after his work. It wasn't the best plan, but it was the only one we could think of. The next day, I went to the address. But when I saw the house, I felt a bit let down. The house was away from other homes, on a road that looked old and rough. The house itself seemed like no one had looked after it for a long time. There were tall bushes and long grass everywhere. I parked my car and took a moment to look around. Honestly, I thought about leaving right then. It didn't seem like the right place for us. Just as I was about to get back in my car and leave, I heard someone call out. It was Kim, coming out of the house to welcome me. I felt a bit trapped. I couldn't just leave now. Even though I wasn't excited, I followed Kim inside. But as soon as I stepped in, my heart sank even more. The house was old and looked even more worn out than the outside. As I followed Kim around, I noticed more and more problems. Everything looked so used and tired. I started to feel sure that the photos on Craigslist were not of this house. I looked at Kim and asked if he had any plans to fix the house. He quickly started listing many things he wanted to do. But honestly, he was naming almost every part of the house. To me, it sounded like he was just making things up to make the place sound better. After showing me the main floor, Kim began leading me upstairs. While walking in the hallway, one particular door caught my attention. It was locked with a padlock. That seemed weird to me. I then glanced at the old wooden floor and noticed something even weirder. There were many shoe prints leading to that locked room. But the strange thing was, there weren't any shoe prints coming out of it. It was like people had gone in but never come out. If these were from other people who visited the house like me, wouldn't they have looked around in all rooms? So why were all the prints leading only to this one locked room? This thought made my heart race. I felt very uneasy. Suddenly, Kim walked right past other rooms and went straight to the locked door. My eyes were glued on him, watching every move. He unlocked the door and motioned for me to come closer. When he saw my scared face, his voice became more forceful. He told me to come inside. Fear took over. My body reacted instantly. I turned and ran as fast as I could down the stairs. I heard him shouting and running after me. I made it to my car, started it, and sped away, while Kim was still running behind me. Shaking, I called the police. When they arrived, the house was empty. Kim was gone. But in the locked room, they found evidence. There were food wrappers, old blankets, and other signs that people had been there recently. The police told me that the house had been abandoned for 8 years. It looked like some people, including Kim, had been secretly living there. I don't know what they wanted with me. It could have been a trap, maybe to rob me or something worse. The scariest part? They probably didn't expect me to have lots of money since they weren't trying to sell anything. So if they weren't after money, what did they want? That's the question that haunts me till today. This took place about 6 years ago. I was getting ready to move to a new house far away, and I wanted to sell some big things so I didn't have to take them with me. I thought using Craigslist was a good idea because it could help me sell things and also get some money for my move. I put up ads for 10 different things I was selling. I didn't ask for a lot of money for them, just around $20 or less. I wanted to sell them fast. Most of the things were sold quickly, but one thing that was left was a workout bench with some weights. I didn't want to take this with me when I moved. After waiting for a while, someone finally emailed me about the workout bench. The message was very short. It just said, "I can pick it up today." I replied and asked when they could come. We sent messages back and forth for a while. It was kind of strange because this person would only write a little bit in each message. It took a long time to figure out when they were coming. I might have been a bit worried giving my address to someone who was acting so strange, but I was leaving in a few days, so I didn't think it was a big deal. I sat in my kitchen, looking at my phone, waiting for them to come. After about half an hour, I heard a car outside and footsteps walking to my door. I thought they would ring the bell or knock, but they didn't. So I opened the door myself. When I opened the door, the man looked surprised. He was just standing there, not moving, just looking straight ahead. I asked if he was there for the workout stuff, and he nodded. I let him in and showed him the bench and weights. I thought he would look at them closely, but he didn't. He just stood there and stared at them. So, after those weird emails, I had a feeling this man would be quiet, maybe a bit shy. But when he came, something felt really wrong. We just stood there, next to the workout bench. I waited for him to say something or maybe look at the bench more closely. It was pretty uncomfortable. Just when I thought it couldn't get weirder, someone knocked on my door. The man looked really surprised. He turned his head quickly and stared at me, like he was trying to see what I was thinking. I had a bad feeling in my stomach, but I tried to act normal. I began to walk to the front door. The man was right behind me, but just before I could reach the hallway, he grabbed my arm. I got scared and pulled my arm away. I asked him what was happening, but he didn't say anything. He just stared at me. There was another knock. This time the man quickly opened the door. I used that chance to run out from my back door. When I looked back, I saw 3 more men coming into my house. I was so scared. I ran to a neighbor's yard and hid there. I took out my phone and called the police. While waiting, I could see some movement in my house windows. It was really creepy. I was thinking about how I could have been inside with those men if I didn't run away. After a few minutes, the movements in my house stopped. Soon the police came. They checked my house, but they didn't find many clues. The only thing they had was my story and how the first man looked. The strange men didn't take much from my house because most of my stuff was already packed for moving. I kept wondering what they would have done to me if I didn't escape. After that day, I never used Craigslist again. I tell all my friends and family to be careful and think twice before using it too.